forcing patients and families out of the program. They can't support this bill the way that it's constructed. When you ask the Energy and Commerce Committee to cut $880 billion, there's no way to do that without going through the Medicaid problem.
Let's hop into a Fox News panel with liberal Jessica Tarlov shutting down and sounding off at her MAGA co-hosts on everything from Democrats to Trump. So if you can, take a moment, leave us a like on the video. It really helps us out and we really appreciate it. And otherwise, we'll be back with the much needed context.
In terms of getting the approval ratings up or people having more faith in them, I do think that the showdown over the reconciliation bill is going to be a major positive point for the Democratic Party. And the Republicans are out there saying, we're not cutting Medicaid. But when you ask the Energy and Commerce Committee to cut $880 billion, there's no way to do that without going through the Medicaid problem. And that is why David Valadao in California, just today, Bernie Moreno, the senator from Ohio, you have Josh Hawley, Susan Collins, are all saying that they can't support this bill the way that it's constructed because you have Medicaid cuts. There were 37 patient groups, American Cancer Society, Leukemia Society, Diabetes Society, who come out against the bill as well, saying that this is going to end up forcing patients and families out of the program.
And this is a point that cannot be lost among the Democratic Party. We on the left have an obligation to say this and shout it from the rooftops each and every day. Trump wants to steal Medicaid from low-income individuals to force through his tax cuts that disproportionately go to the wealthy, as well as food stamps, as well as closing Social Security field offices and laying off the staff, as well as things like USAID that fed hungry children abroad, medical research, and more. All as the child tax credit isn't even being discussed anymore. Remember when J.D. Vance said, well, yeah, we're thinking about a $5,000 child tax credit. Why haven't they said those words one time since Trump got elected? No tax on tips, Social Security, no tax on overtime. None of those can fit into the budget that Republicans passed through with their own majority, the resolution that is. They're still working on the reconciliation. And now it's being revealed, despite their best attempts to hide it at all costs, as I claimed from the beginning, because I actually read the bills and don't just say things, cuts to Medicaid will have to happen with the number they are proposing to the committee that oversees it. Cuts to food stamps will have to happen. Cuts to things like rental assistance, 9/11 survivors funds, first responders relief. These are all being proposed to be cut as well, all to, again, better afford rich guy tax cuts for Trump and Elon.
In 2017, Democrats were able to get it together, a la your book, because the Republicans out of the gate went after Obamacare. People do not stand for you coming for their health care. And if Republicans carry down on this path and they go with the reconciliation bill as it is, the big, beautiful bill, the midterms should, and historical precedent would indicate this, go very well for the Democrats. Does that mean that 2028 is ours? Absolutely not. But it does mean that we'll have a very good showing.
And that is the right response. Because of COVID, I think a lot of voters look back on Trump 1 with rose-tinted glasses. They forgot how chaotic and disastrous the first tax cuts were, how business investments plummeted after, wages dropped after, or that Trump utilized tariffs to send us into a recession prior to COVID happening, or how he regularly underperformed in job numbers and GDP growth all before the pandemic. People look back on that with rose-tinted glasses because of the effects of COVID, where 2020 was a referendum on Trump's disastrous handling of it. 2024 was a referendum on the effects felt from it. They just attributed it to the party in power. But this Trump has nothing to hide behind, no excuses he can make, which is why he's hopelessly failing at trying to blame it on Biden. Everything is being aired out, and he's probably helping the Democratic Party more than they ever could themselves heading into this midterm.
What I think the problem is that about 75% of voters went to the ballot box in November and wanted major change to the system. And Donald Trump was the change agent, and Democrats haven't yet proven that they're going to be demonstrably different from the campaign that was run. They don't have a new set of policies that they rolled out to say, this is how we're speaking to working class Americans.
I do agree. And there is a natural fight within really any party. And you're definitely seeing it in the Democratic Party after an election loss like this, where the youthful, more progressive wing seems to be faring better, at least early, right? Which is always a good sign for the worker. If we lean into these worker first politics, the kinds of elections, the kinds of like FDR movements that won us elections in the past, we see landslides like in 2020, where Biden, for all my gripes with him, did run a pretty worker-first, worker-oriented campaign. He built a strong constituency of middle-class union workers, and Trump now is in front of our face failing to deliver for the people. And it's just hard to overshadow that first 100 days with how both chaotic and disastrous and a fail that it's been. So it's hard to see in early polling Democrats surmounting that news coverage. But I think it will set up a strong 2026 midterm for Democrats. And with a good candidate, it could set up a strong win in 2028 for the presidency. I mean, at this point, it looks like we're up against either J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, both of which are hilariously weak candidates.